But we're going to move on, and we're actually going to talk about these Detroit Lions. And, Sean, are they a serious playoff contender? Could this team seriously make some noise in the playoffs?
I want to see what they can actually do against a playoff team, and I'm not trying to.
Because that was your big point before we hit the record button, is that they haven't played a playoff team.
And that's the thing. I mean, the one thing with this team is that the Lions are a good team. I'm not trying to put that down because I know Lions fans are very sensitive. They finally have a winning team. Congratulations. But they have not played, they've not beaten, I'm sorry, they haven't beaten a playoff team. They've played one playoff team. One playoff team, Ricky. They have played one playoff team, and that is the Texans.
And they lost.
And they lost. And they have not beaten a playoff team. They've played one playoff team. And the one thing with this is that Matt Stafford's having an MVP-type season, and I will not deny that. And Matt Stafford has been playing out of his mind. And if you look at him in the on last drives of the game, and I went through, going through ESPN's play-by-play and drew this up, in the 4 losses, he has only given the game away once, and that was an interception to the Titans. Outside of that, it really hasn't been the fault since they lost. That Packer game was pretty much a blowout until they made it a game. The Bears game, I think it was a fumble on the. They tried to do an onside kick.
The one at Soldier Field.
Yeah, it was an onside kick that they couldn't recover. The Texans game just wasn't that close. I mean, if you look at him though on the last drives. He's had one interception pretty much against the Titans. Then he was 30 of 38, 446 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 rushes, 23 yards on those rushes, one rushing touchdown, sacked 4 times, 0 interceptions. That's a QBR of 140.9. He's been utterly ridiculous in the last game. In the last drives, he's won 8 games. They've won 8 games, or all of their wins, have been by 7 points or more. And all of their losses have been by 7 points or less, except for that Saints game that was 28-13. The one thing is just that they could be a one-team win right now, if it wasn't for Matt Stafford. So I think that this Lions team, I will understand if they are a legit playoff contender when they go up against the Cowboys and Giants, and they don't even need to win those games per se to kind of mold that. As long as it's a competitive game, and as long as they look like they're in the game for most of it, as long as it's not a blowout, I will say that the Lions are legit contenders. I just want to see what they can do against other legit contenders.
Well, and to me, I'm looking at it, no matter, they've got 3 games left, like you said, the Giants, the Cowboys, and then they play the Packers. I mean, the Packers, they're a team that it might come down to that last week, because if the Giants and Cowboys can get to the Lions, I agree with you in the sense that we got to see what they can do against a playoff team. But the one thing I do like about this team, and Dave actually brought this up in our text message group that we have with the MVP guys, plus Lions guy, the friend of the Onside Kick, the podcast. But the thing that he brought up is, because we were all like, oh, well, they've been in close games. They've never closed out a game. The only time they didn't have to come back was that Saints game. And Dave said, well, it's a good thing for, if you're not using it as an excuse of, hey, we can get down early, it's a good thing to have been in that situation so many times, because when you get to the playoffs, or you get to, because these next 2 games, let's be honest, they're going to be like playoff games for the Lions. And the Lions should go into them like they're playoff games, but it's going to be one of those things, and I agree with Dave, where it'll be like, hey, Matt Stafford's going to go in there and go, guys, we've been here before. We've been in this situation where we got to come back 4th quarter. Let's just do it again. We've done it how many times this year to where everyone's just going to relax and be like, yeah, you're right. How many times have we done it? That is a valuable thing to have when you go into the playoffs. Now, these next 2 games, next 3, I'm even going to throw the Packer game in there.
Well, Green Bay's got to win every game to be in the playoffs.
Green Bay's got to win every game, but let's say this. I don't think the Packers are going to lose more than 2.
What, you think the Bears can't beat them?
The Bears, I almost want to pick the Bears, but I won't.
It's not going to happen.
And the thing is, I really I think that if the Lions lose these next 2, it's going to be the division in a nutshell getting played for Week 17, just like it was last year between the Vikings and the Packers. The Lions, though, need to win these next 2. They need to win maybe the next 3.
They need to beat the Packers, for sure.
This Lions team needs, I'm going to say it, they need a first-round bye. If they can get a first-round bye, then I may be even talking about them being an NFC championship contender. Not a Super Bowl contender, just being able to win a game to get to the NFC title game because they'd be playing at home. This is a team that needs to look at the Giants, look at the Cowboys, and go, this is our time to put that stamp on this season that no matter how we win, that we can hang with the playoff team. So that Sean can't say, because it is true, that, oh, we haven't played a playoff team.
Well, it's just
a fact.
It's just a fact.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's bad or anything. Yeah,
that's why I said it's just a fact.
But I think people will say that as I'm trying to discredit the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, like, legitimately, they have not played a playoff team except for the Texans, and they lost. The one thing that I do want to put out there is that the one part that I am kind of weary about this Detroit team is, one, the defense, and I want to see what you can do against Ezekiel Elliott and Aaron Rodgers when he's on top of his game. And obviously that first Packer game didn't go the Lions' way as well. And I want to see what they can do there, because the Lions' defense isn't bad, but it's not a top 10 defense. So they're not a bad defense at all, but it's not like this isn't a thing you could rely on.
You know what actually is?
They've been good clutch though.
You know what's funny about that? How you mentioned Zeke. I look at the teams that they have played. Probably the only two running backs the only teams that they've played that have legit running threats. The Bears this past week, because Jordan Howard was actually playing. Langford, I believe, was the back for the first game, and then the Titans. Those were the only teams that have legitimate running games. Where the Eagles, it was kind of like they're just using a platoon of guys. Gurley hasn't been when he's been this season. Lamar Miller's good, but I wouldn't say that he's anything great anywhere near Zeke. And then look at the Jaguars, the Vikings, and the Saints. They don't have run games this year.
Well, the thing with the Lions is they're the best part of their defense is their running defense. I think it's close to the top 10 or just near the top 10. And they're giving up less than 100 yards rushing. I just want to see what they can do against a top running back, because like we said, they haven't gone up against a playoff team. That usually means you can't run the ball, except if you're the Patriots or the Lions in this case, because they haven't had a 100-yard rusher. So I just want to see what the two things that I'm worried about is the defense. I'm not really worried about. I just want to get more, kind of confirmation that they are that they can win them games, or at least keep them in games. I'm not saying, again, I think that Detroit just hasn't played up against top competition. So I think that if they can go out and keep Zeke under 100 yards or close to 100 yards, a little over 100 yards, and they can pressure Dak, I think that that's going to be a good sign, and I could say that they can be legit contenders. I just think that when you don't have a rushing game and you don't have Tom Brady, it's going to be difficult to play against a Dallas team that is already a great run defense, and then you're going to be relying on Matt Stafford, who has been absolutely fantastic this year, but we've seen Matt Stafford try to force passes, and then when you're making him pass in high volumes, that might be difficult for him to kind of make plays where he's going to try to force passes. And then when you look at the Giants, they put on a ton of pressure, and I think that with a team like the Giants, who are good in coverage as well, I think that Matt Stafford's going to have to struggle a little bit, and then that's when you're going to have to rely on a run game, where I'm not sold on any of the running backs currently in Detroit. So I just want to know what this run game can do, and this run game doesn't have to take over a game, but as long as it can keep them in a game and keep them competitive, and as long as the defense can, again, keep them competitive, because we all know that Matt Stafford can win games, and no one's denying that. No one's denying that Matt Stafford's a top 10 quarterback in this league. I just wonder what they can do against actual playoff teams, because they have not done that yet. So as long as they can go up against playoff teams and look competitive, then I will say they are competitors in the NFC.
I'm going to say that we do need, like you said, we do need to see what they can do against the Giants and against the Cowboys. But right now I'm sitting here based on what I've seen in this team, and I'm saying this is a team that I'm looking at going, I could expect some playoff upsets to happen with them, even if they are the 2 seed. Because let's be honest, if they're the 2 seed, nobody's looking at the Lions seriously because of what the Lions have been. That's why I'm still saying that if they can do good things against the Giants and the Cowboys, then I can look at them and go, this is a team that could run the table. This is a team that could NFC Championship for sure, and then have a chance to even get to the Super Bowl. just a chance.
See, again, not to take away from the NFC, and not to take away from the Lions, but
It is a weaker conference. Is that what you're going to say?
a weaker conference. And if you're saying who are the 3 teams that you think can win a Super Bowl, they're all from the AFC. It's Patriots, Chiefs, and Oakland. I think that Oakland has such a dynamic offense where they can win games there. The Chiefs obviously have a stellar defense and a defense that speaks more volumes than statistics can show. And then the Patriots are the Patriots. I'm currently wearing a Tom Brady jersey. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to say the Patriots are a top team there. And then 4th would probably be the Cowboys. And I think the Lions can definitely put their name into that slot there if they can beat the Cowboys, if they can beat the Giants. But again, I think that they are serious playoff contenders if they are competitive in these last 3 games.
Well, and this is where you guys let us know down below what
And they
you
also
guys
have to make
think.
the playoffs. If they go 0-3, they might not be in the playoffs.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think about the Lions. Are they a serious playoff contender? What do you see them doing against the Giants and the Cowboys in their next 2 games?